What's going on, party people?
Party
Look
people.
at that. Boom, like on the zero this time.
You're you're getting way too professional.
Way too professional. No, what that is, that's conditioning. That's conditioning.
It's Pavlovian at this
It
point.
really is. Every time I see a timer from 1 minute, my eye twitches.
Look around. Is Dave out there? Is he going to yell at me? Nope.
Yeah, Kill-A-Lot, be kind. It's too bad that Kill-A-Lot is not here right now. I don't see him in chat at all because
No, not yet.
Kill-A-Lot actually came up in conversation. I was just telling the guys this off show, but Kill-A-Lot came up in my wife and our conversation. We were listening to some cold opens, and my wife did not understand why the whole 3 minutes, 1 minute countdown thing. And I'm like, that's just the viewers / listeners breaking my balls at every opportunity. And Zach and Troy both enabling and fostering that kind of a hostile environment for me. She goes, "Why are you doing
Now-
this again?"
Now, again, let's be real.
Uh-huh.
We're not enabling them. You are. 'Cause you're supplying the ammunition for your own demise.
That's cute. That's cute. I like that. I like that a lot. Thanks for that. It's actually super accurate.
It's fantastic.
It is still funny to me though that my son thinks it's hilarious. He will watch the show or listen to the show just to hear people give me a hard time.
That's
I'm like,
good.
that
That's
doesn't. You don't get enough of that, like
That's
just
beautiful.
in the world, in life around me, son. He goes, no, because people don't usually. They're just not that mean about it. Like, well, they're not really being mean. He goes, I don't know, man.
Like, have you heard
Have you
some of the
heard
things?
some of it? And then he goes, but I get it though. I understand why they do it. I'm like, well, why? And he goes, oh, it just feels good. Shut up, kid. Freaking kid.
That's amazing. See, that's why Mike Amer is so happy all the time.
Oh man. Oh man.
Because giving people shit feels good.
Oh, boy.
It does.
Right?
It does.
What were we
It's the Mike Gamer way. Yeah.
It's the Mike Amer way.
Wait, you know what? Okay, so speaking of Mike Gamer, I'm gonna invoke him like the Candyman here, saying his name 3 times. I'm sure. Mike came up in conversation recently. Also, we were talking to some friends of ours about, or not friends. These were new folks that we were talking to, some new friends, and we were talking about ourselves, and invariably, Gabriel brings up that I run games professionally. And so Gabriel goes, oh man, Mike's not here. I wish they were here for this. Oh, and my dad is the Dungeon Master of the Year. Like, I just like and you could see it on their face. Like, these very, very nice people. You could see it on their faces. They were like, what the? That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
My dad is voted the nerdiest person in the
The
world.
biggest dork in the universe.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
I like that. That's funny. These people are like Dungeon Master of the Year out of what? Like 5 people?
Is that a thing?
What is that? I don't understand.
I see a Bear Droid in chat. Hello, Bear Droid. And we got
Bear Droid.
FTO Pair? Are you a robot? Don't be a robot. December 2nd, 2020 is your account created date. Are you Skynet? Hello. I'm waving at you now. Okay, so what did we decide? Are we going to hold off on that pre-show
Yeah, I think so.
idea? Okay, cool.
I think so. We're gonna pocket that one, and have a
Yeah.
chat.
Give me time to check out those other 2.
Yeah. So, okay. So we all need to watch those. Then is that what we've decided? In order to do
Well-
this right?
Oh, need to definitely. I need to.
Okay.
I
yeah.
will.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
So I don't know that I'll get to Halloween. To drop a little spoiler for the folks.
Spoiler
at home.
alert.
Just because of timing and all that, but I will get through others.
I can make sure that the 2 of you are you driving to
I am.
Game Hall?
I am.
If I were to get you access to those movies without having to go to the theater,
Yes, I would commit.
excellent. I'll take care of you. I'm going to get it through Peacock. I promise. Wink.
Yes.
Wink.
All right. Well, here let's do this episode tonight then.
Yes,
and,
let's.
let's
All
let's
right.
give the people what they want, what they came here for.
Find your center. I'm ready.
All right, Troy, are we recording?
We are indeed recording.
Excellent. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Bite Size Gaming Podcast, the podcast that's bringing you bite-sized bits of information each and every week. I'm your host, Zach, and the hosts joining me this evening are Dwarven DM, John Christian.
Oh, I'm first this time. Oh, lolly ho, everyone.
That's right. And then the Dapper DM, Troy Sandlin.
Hello.
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 That was very foppish of you.
You like that?
Very dandy. Super, like a dapper or is a dandy?
Dapper.
Yeah.
Dapper.
Either, you know what?
Dapper's the preferred adjective.
Both
Dapper,
are
yes,
acceptable.
Dapper.
Not that there's anything wrong with being dandy. Okay.
Dapper is way more
Yeah.
acceptable than
Okay, cool.
dandy.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
So we've got an interesting episode, a return to form. We'll say it that way.
Ooh.
We're going to be talking a regular episode tonight, except that I think the news is going to be punctuated with our what's in the box talk, which is there has been so much stuff that we have talked about over the last year and a half that just came rolling in, or that we picked up from here and there since Gen Con, that it's like we've got to talk about at least some of it because we hype it when it's being promoted, and then we kind of need to do a review once we get it in hand and let folks know. So I've got a little stack here of things that I definitely want to talk about. Things actually, John, I'm going to give you a little teaser. There's a couple things in the stack that I think are made for you.
Do tell.
And one of them, in fact, I actually bought to investigate for you. So we'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
But before we do so, is there any news that we need to cover tonight?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily news. I saw some things and some stuff. It was pretty interesting.
Stuff and things.
On the Dragonlance front, even. But
Oh.
look at that bear droid even. Bing.
Dragonlance?
Yeah. Not okay. So what I did notice, I found in the new Fizban's Guide to Dragons or whatever it is, right? There is. So first of all, Draconians are going to be in it, right? I think we talked a little bit about that before. I got to see the stat blocks, and they were pretty spot on. I thought, pretty not close.
Now, would these be the stat blocks that Mr. Man Crush Joe Manganiello had developed a while back that he alluded to?
I think that's what it is. Yes,
Nice.
and they're actually good. They are. They track with what the mythology originally has, and so it made a lot of sense. The only thing that was, like I said before, was weird is just what they named them, like the Juggernaut, the Mystic, or something like that, right? They didn't call them their names in the books necessarily. There are these new, like, 5e version, genericized Draconian names, which that's fine. I get that. I understand why they're doing that.
I think that makes more sense anyway.
Yeah,
But I get it.
I agree.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so there's that. And then the other little Dragonlance-y tidbit that I saw was that I just saw some art. I saw some of the art in the same Fizban's Guide to Dragons thing. And it was Loralon Thalassa, or Lorana, the Golden General, fighting Kitiara. And that was pretty cool. There's some artistic liberties that are in there, much like the Tommy Chong Fizban image that's out there. He's like super wasted in that image.
Tess ain't here, man.
Tess ain't here, man. No, it's good though. It's just cool to see. Call it whatever you will, pandering to the crowd. That's fine. I don't care. It's just cool to see it in there. It's neat.
Yeah. Well, speaking of pandering, the brief note that I have to kind of go along with your brief note is that this afternoon I saw the announcement that the Edge Games company, the newly formed Edge Games company, is doing a new Star Wars RPG. Same team that did the last one, Edge of Empire, but they're doing a new one. and they're also the same team is doing a Twilight Imperium RPG.
Interesting. Yeah. Why would they?
So,
I mean, I know why they're going to make another Star Wars RPG. I'm a fool if if I didn't know that capitalism weren't behind that one. But I mean, the Edge of the Empire hasn't really been out long enough. It feels like.
I looked it up, I believe Edge of Empire. Look, for the people, I'm gonna make sure that I'm saying this right. But I believe it was like 2013.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's been out for a while.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
It has been a while.
I'm not saying that that's so long, right?
Maybe that's a separate discussion, though. It's like, how long is long enough for an edition these days? Maybe that's a...
Well, and they didn't, I mean, like, there's plenty of products for it, but the weird way that they released it, I feel like makes it a little bit difficult to fully vest yourself in, right? Because they've got they've got 3 core rule books,
yeah,
plus 3 starter sets, and knowing where you're going with all that, I think is tricky. 2013 was when the first core rule book came out. So word. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought it had been out longer than 5e. Yeah.
Yeah. No word on the system that they're going to be using, just that it has begun, and it is the same team. They're just calling themselves something different.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's good.
Let's hope that it's the same. Hopefully, it's the same or a very, very similar dice mechanic.
Well, that may be part of it, right? It's moving away from that dice mechanic, because it was.
Oh, I hope not.
I loved it. I'm not knocking the dice mechanic, but it is a harder sell. One of its non-numeric, traditional dice.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it is, because a lot of games are going to that whole. Yeah. I mean, and what's the difference? Cool. Yeah, what's the difference? Oh, if you get 1s, it's a success, and if you get 3s, it's a fail. The more 1s you have, the better that kind of a thing, as opposed to you get enough of these symbols opposed to these symbols plus this symbol. I mean, who cares if it has numbers or symbols? I mean, it's just it's a cool dice mechanic.
Yeah. I think the biggest complaint that I remember from that last system was that it was a very pre-built set of rails for their adventures and things, and how they had it. I didn't ever, it's on my shelf. It's something that I would like to run at some point. But what I remember being told is that the adventures that they built are very built, and that they make it difficult for GMs to create their own adventures inside that system.
I can see that.
Whether or not that's true or not, question mark, right?
Yeah, I ran the starter set, and it's Star Warsy, right? But you're right. It's like either follow these pre-established parameters for the adventure, or there are no bumpers at all outside of that. There's no additional content or context or anything like that for you to be able to kind of noodle with at all. So if you do go off the rails, you're on your own.
I don't know. I'll give it a shot, because I enjoyed playing. I enjoyed playing the Edge of the Empire. That was fun.
Same. And a lot of that, like with any system, and with any setting, we'll say, or genre even, it really boils down a lot. I've noticed to just whoever's running it, whoever's really, really passionate about that thing. We've talked about that before.
Sure.
Like if I want to play Dragonlance, I want to play it with somebody that's super into it, or Star Wars, or whatever.
Yeah.
When Zach has run Alien, you can tell that he loves the mythology, and he loves the feel of it. And it comes out in that play.
Well, speaking of things that sits on Zach's shelf and probably will never get played, Troy, does anybody have anything in news before we move on to our What's in the Box segment?
No,
I'm seeing some notes. Okay. All right. So, I don't know, John, if you have anything. I know Troy and I both have a few things that we want to chat about. Troy and John, you got something. Okay. I'm going to kick us off, because my suspicion is that I have a few more things in this stack then
my suspicion is you don't have a few more things than we do. I think you have, by leaps and bounds more than
all
we
the
have
things
combined.
Yeah. I had to whittle down my stack, and I'm still not. I'm gonna still try to like plow through it. But there was too many things that I felt like, we need to talk about this. So I'm gonna do a few things, and then we'll hand it off, and we'll bounce around. Okay, let's try it again.
Sound now?
Kirk says he lost sound.
Is the sound back? Yes, the sound is back for Girk. Back for Bear Droid. Okay, we are good.
Okay, so let's restart for a moment here. All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is Not Even the Bones, which was one of the very first interviews that we did.
Yeah.
It is for the Mothership system. It is a like a dungeon crawl adventure. And like I said, we've been waiting on this one for a while. So the question is, was it worth the wait? I will say that I think that the build of Mothership zines has evolved past this at this point. Like, there's some cool stuff in here. As an example, there's a really cool factory diagram that you explore through at the beginning. For a ship station, as it actually. And then most of the rest of the book is kind of that dungeon crawl feel as you talk about those different locations within the station and what you can find in it. So it's a pretty well written, contained adventure, but the design and presentation, I think, shows that it was Mothership was in its infancy, and the products that have come out since it are much more refined. Still, I would probably recommend it. It's a nice little chunky module, and there's not a lot of chunky self-contained modules for Mothership out yet. So I would probably say if you're a Mothership person, this is something you might consider picking up.
And if you're not a Mothership person, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Exactly. Also, you could run that through the Alien system pretty easily. Like, that wouldn't be an issue. The other thing I'm going to cover real quick, we talked about before. Holy crap, let's talk about something amazing. Minsk and Boo's Journal of Villainy.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Folks, you can pick this up on the DM's Guild, and you should be picking this up on the DM's Guild. This is a good book. Like, in the tier of D&D 5e books, this is a tier 1 book, right? In my opinion. Like, not just a third-party tier 1, but like a tier 1 period, full stop.
Okay, so what are other tier 1 books then? If that's a tier 1 book, what does that mean to you?
Hammond's Handy Haversack is another tier 1 book because it's super usable.
Yep.
The Kobold Press layer soft covers that have like 10 or 12 layers or self-contained adventures in them are core books. The Tales from the Yawning Portal is a tier 1 book because, again, it's highly usable. Like, those are the books that I feel like are top notch. There's a few more, but those are all like top notch home run hitting books. This book sits up there with those. It's a beautiful book, which is super important, right? It is content rich, which is also super important, right? There's certain books like Legendary Dragons from Jetpack 7 that are gorgeous. And that book is probably almost pushing into top tier for me as well. But like, they don't have quite the content level. This has the content and the art. And I think it communicates some really cool stuff. Let me tell you, um, chapter 2 is inspired. It is called Chapter 2 Group Patrons, and it has a whole bunch of different group patrons. So, Adventurers Guild, Candlekeep, Church of, let's see, Emerald Enclave, Flaming Fist, Harpers, Knights of Bahamut, Shadow Thieves. All of these groups, and it has two like high-end NPCs
Oh,
for each of those groups with an amazing art piece to go with them.
very
Then
cool.
it has a whole bunch of, or a collection of campaign villains like Mephistopheles. And then it has a section of henchmen. And then it has a section of monsters. Everything about this book is usable. So
Very cool.
buy it on the
Yeah.
DM's Guild today.
Based on Zach's recommendation, I bought it and I got the PDF. So I've had an opportunity to look at it myself, and I echo his sentiments. So that's 2 out of 3 of us for sure, right?
Yeah, I picked it up as well, but I have not had a chance to look at it.
And let me tell you something. Zach undersold how gorgeous this book is. Not only is there's just a slew of art, not just, and it is on par, if not better, than any art that you're going to find in any official 5e book that's going to be in print and sent out easily. And on top of that, just the layout, the editing, and the design of it is equal to, if not better than, anything else that's out there as well. I'm talking about like not just the way that the stat blocks are put together, but just the way that, not just the artwork itself, but how the art is laid out and how it's edited into the overall design is absolutely phenomenal. And there's tons and tons of content in this. So based on that, I ended up getting the hardback book. So I'll be interested to see how that turns out whenever I get it in.
Very cool. Yeah.
Bear Droid is asking what is a favorite bit. Because I just recently finished up writing a piece of content that's tied into it, the Mephistopheles villain in here spoke to me. It's pretty cool. So I would, anyhow, we've said too much if we're going to get on to other things, but worth the buy. Absolutely. Let's move on to somebody else for a minute. Troy, what's something that you got?
Well, as you know, I back a lot of these things as PDFs, so I do have quite a few, but I don't have anything to show. But I do have Not Even the Bones,
Mm-hmm.
Onyx Sky, Outlaws and Owlbears, the Ruins of Symbaroum 5e version. I got the PDF. I did back that at the hardcover, but they just released the PDFs not too long ago. Things of that. But since I can't show anybody anything, and I haven't had time to really look at those, I got not too long ago the Grim Hollow Player's Guide.
Ooh.
And I mean, I haven't even taken it out of the plastic wrap yet, but it's a decently thick tome, very well done, very solidly bound, and it's from Ghostfire Games, Sean Merwin, our buddies over there, and I mean, their stuff is always good. Neat little poster, a packet, almost like a messenger packet, if you will, of maps. Battle maps
That's
of
cool.
Etharis. Yeah, and then like a page of stickers and stuff, and then what was it? A box with spells and abilities.
Whoa, that's a thick box.
It is it's a thick boy. We'll open it up right now.
The suspense.
Suspense.
This is like one of those blind bag
Look at that.
movies that my kids love so much. Dang.
Yeah.
Look at that. So for folks listening at home, this is probably 300 cards, 250, 300 cards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got some cool looking spells. I must have got right into the spell section, but yeah, I mean, spells, items, abilities, all kinds of stuff in here.
Awesome.
All for the players. And Grim Hollow, if you couldn't guess from the name, is a little bit more dark role playing, which I do enjoy the dark and gritty sometimes.
Yeah.
I think there's room in D&D for a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Dark and gritty is something that I enjoy. So.
Right on. Okay.
Oh, Gert can't buy it because Fairstein took his wallet.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I won't let him have my Minsk and Boo.
Mm-hmm.
Shame.
Well, shoot. Yeah. Let's reconsider perhaps. John, what do you have? What's something that you have?
So I was furiously trying to put together all the stuff that I've gotten recently. I'd put it away on shelves and here and yonder. So I'll start out with this. Based on a game that we played not too long ago amongst ourselves as DMs, our friend and yours, Janine, introduced me to the Tiny D6 system. She gave me the Tiny Cthulhu source book. I fell in love with it, and so I went ahead and picked up Tiny Dungeon, which I think we've already talked about that a little bit. But I now have a third copy of this because my son wanted a copy also, so we can play together. I got that. Let's see. Recently got the Survivalist Guide to Spelunking. That one came in.
Ooh. From Noel. What do you think of it? Okay. What's your first impressions?
Yeah. So first impressions are the words are giant. The font is ginormous in this thing. This is for the visually impaired almost. But the content is really, really good, and it is just. There's a ton of it. Even though the words are big. It feels very old school. It's very old school Renaissance, very AD&D feel to it. But it reads like if you were a Boy Scout leader or a Scout leader, right? There's science behind caverns and complexes and underworld. The different hazards and traps. There's foraging and hunting rules for entire campaigns in the Underdark or in caves and in underground warrens. The anatomy of caves, mining, momentum is interesting. Momentum-based maneuvers, like being able to move through the different areas in the underground and not becoming lost. Like if you are traversing more difficult areas, tighter spaces and things like that, how that is punishing to the body, depending on how big you are, and it even goes into the detail of your anatomy. Like if you're a centaur and you try to go into the underground and stuff like that, right? They've got hex crawling and mapping, streamlined survival rules. They got Lord Almighty. There are about 5 bajillion tables in this, which makes it even. That's the oldest of the old school Renaissance part of it right there. Just tables, scads of them. Call of the Lightless Abyss is 100. As a deep percentile that's just about different encounters that you could possibly have in the underground. 100 different encounters that you can roll randomly on. It's chunky as well. It's a really interesting text, like a linen cover. That's really interesting. It's almost like you'd have for a field manual if you were taking it out somewhere. It's really good. I liked it. It was definitely worth the backing on that one. I got my money's worth out of that. Let's see, and then go ahead.
That's an AAW Adventure Week product.
Yes.
So just for those listening at home, you can get that on their website, adventureweek.com, and I think it's pretty reasonably priced. I think it's $40 for the hardcover. So.
Yep. Let's see, and then after that, whenever Troy and I were prowling the dealer hall, I made some really good friends at the Free League table or their booth, and let me tell you something. I already loved them for Alien and for Tales from the Loop, but what I had not gotten yet is I hadn't gotten Tales from the Flood, which is set 10 years.
You like Vossen too.
What's that?
You like Vossen too.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, but it's I haven't been able to pick a lot of this stuff up. I didn't even think about Things from the Flood, to be honest with you. But so I got a copy of Things from the Flood, which this is awesome. It's like this, Tales from the Loop is kind of a weird alternate 80s, kind of like a Stranger Things / Goonies, Monster Squad, all those kids on bikes type things. But there's like this really weird sci-fi fringe science aspect to it. Tales from the Loop is, what if it was that, but then over the course of 10 years later, something really bad happened. Some kind of like a cataclysmic event or something, the loop went wrong. And so Things from the Flood is this very Cthulhian bent on it, where weird things come out of the loop and now the world is forever changed. And it's an alternate 90s. So the 80s, you had like all the trappings of the 80s. Your kid had to have some kind of a thing that was unique, like a Walkman or a Swatch or something like that, right? Or a
Swatch.
Never in the 90s, it's like you're not listening to Cyndi Lauper or something like that. Instead, you're listening to Kurt Cobain or Pearl Jam or grunge or something like that, right? So the vibe, it's just weird, and it's gorgeous, of course. So I picked that one up. I also went ahead and picked up another copy of the Tales from the Loop starter set, which is really good.
Yep.
And then the winner, though, because I already planned on getting the Tales from the Loop stuff, was Forbidden Lands.
Yes.
Oh my God, it wins. It wins everything. This thing is. Let me tell you something. First of all,
right?
I'm going to start with the box set that comes with this thing. It is gorgeous and ridiculously nice.
It's not a starter set. That's the thing that we've got to iterate, right? It's not a starter set. It's the core set. We didn't say starter set, but I'm backing you up with like, you're not buying like. We're going to talk about a starter set here in a moment. That is a great starter set, but is bare bones, components of what you absolutely need to run. The Forbidden Lands box set is the 2 core rulebooks in a box.
Yes. And they're okay. First of all, this is not a special edition cover, by the way. This cover is it looks like faux leather.
Oh yeah.
Red with gold foil stamping and all that good stuff. That is the player's handbook. And then the Game Master's Guide comes in it as well, and it's the same kind of like feel with a gold stamping, but it's like a green, almost like a green faux leather. But that's not what gets me. It is like it's the same size as for the listeners at home. It's the same size as like a hardback published novel. It's the same dimensions as one, and that I didn't realize how much I would freaking love that until I'm reading through this, and it is like reading a novel to me, right? It's so incredibly narrative and story driven. It is laid out so well, but it's all black and white, and it feels like it should be. If it were, I think it would bastardize the entire vibe they were going with if they had a single color image in this book. And it is dark, it is gritty and grim, which I love too, Troy. I'm with you.
Yeah.
It is very. It feels super heavy metal to me. And I've absolutely fallen in love with it. The box set is fantastic. Comes with a map as well, and the map has little stickers, so that it's a hex map, and the stickers that you get are little tombstones and strongholds and cities and stuff like that. So as you discover stuff, as the GM, it can be anywhere you want it to be. It's like, and then this pops up here. This is a thing that you see because the world is pinpoints of light, and you don't know exactly where things are. There's like the whispers and the tales of maybe there's another town several hexes away, so to speak, right? And then you get there and it's a ruin, right? So then that's whenever the ruin sticker gets put on the map, right?
Yeah.
And the replayability of this thing
dig
too,
that.
right? The replayability of this thing is phenomenal also, just because you can flip it over and there's a brand new shiny map and a whole new set of stickers, so that you can create a new space and a new environment that way. What came with that as well. Last one.
Wait, John, did you get the campaign book too?
That's what I was bringing up just now.
That's the expansion. Yeah.
Yeah, the campaign expansion.
Oh my god. Okay, so
yeah,
what were we complaining about just last year about a frozen wasteland that did not have the teeth that we expected? I'm not naming any names here, folks, because I'm not going to.
Rime of the Frost Maiden. He's talking about Rime of the Frost Maiden.
I'm not flogging that dead horse. Look, I've read through about half of this book already. This is what I actually dug into. Yeah, I read through half of it because I was pissed as I read through it, because I'm like, where the hell was this book a year ago? The Bitter Reach.
Oh man,
it is so good. Like I don't know. I really don't know of any other way of explaining it other than, man, as a kid I loved Heavy Metal Magazine and I loved the movie, and it just like I remember like how it freaked me out as a kid, how jacked up, weird. Like this feels like it's just right out of that, and it is beautifully macabre. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Bear, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like the box set was $50.
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon right now for $44. And you can get the Bitter Reach expansion book for about $30.
Dude, yeah. Worth it. Every penny.
It's worth
totally.
it.
Worth every penny. Yeah. It is so good. Look, Minsc and Boo, I love it. If you want more of like a 5e specific product, that's going to be the winner for me. Yep. But if you want to take a chance on something really awesome and very different, but it feels very, very much familiar at the same time, Forbidden Lands by Free League is so freaking good.
I have heard so many people say that Forbidden Lands has become their fantasy go-to.
I'm not shocked at all. I'm not shocked because as I'm sitting here, as I was reading through it, I'm like, how can I not play as much D&D 5e so I can run more of this?
Yeah. Well, here, that's a really good. Like, we're gonna talk about some more 5e products here in a minute, but like, if you're wanting something different, I'm about ready to talk to you about a product that's gonna back up what John's saying there. If you don't want that, what's a nice way of saying it? Or not a nice way, but an accurate, like a standard fantasy feel, you probably want something other than D&D, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's the quick way.
Well, D&D has really, to me at least, it feels like it's become the Disney of fantasy role playing.
Yeah. Well,
and it has to.
It has to, but also like, yeah. Well, let me pitch to you a couple products real quick that aren't that for 5e, right? So let's start with this one, Cassarda. Cassarda is something that I backed about a year ago, I think, give or take. Cassarda is a 5e setting. It comes out of Italy, which is why it looks gorgeous. If you ever see an Italian RPG Kickstarter, you can pretty much learn to tell that it's Italian just by looking at the cover and the presentation. It's really, really nice. So a couple things that I would note, I guess. First off, this product came in super late because of COVID, of course. It is a setting about people who have died, and everyone in the setting has died, and they have gone to this Cassarda location, and they are going to combat things in the Netherworld. It is a place illuminated by a pale sun that gives it its name. It is a place of infinite despair, and that's kind of the presentation of it. Welcome to Cassarda, where death is only the beginning. Here's what I'll say. I'm going to kind of reiterate some of the things that John, you said about previous works. The text size in this product is large, and it's not a huge book to begin with. It's 300 pages roughly, which I'm not complaining about, but you're not getting that hefty tome that you maybe could imagine yourself wanting. The other thing that I'll say is that the artwork that is in it is gorgeous. I found myself wanting more variety in the art. There's a lot of character art and not a lot of other art. Um, so all that to say, if you're looking for a new, like, super dark, horrific setting for a 5e game, I think Cassardra is a good place to investigate. If you're just looking for a book to inspire you and have different ideas, I don't know that I would pick this up right away. Um, and it doesn't have so much content to just steal from that I would recommend it. So this is kind of going to be those. If this is your thing, you'll probably buy it. If it's not your thing, probably hold off. The thing that you should buy is Ekphrastic Beasts, also for 5e. This is another Kickstarter that was super long delayed because of COVID. And Ekphrastic Beast is also not very large, but just like Minsk and Booze, it is chock full of crazy, like, heavy metal monster art. Um, every other page is a full page art piece for a new monster. And then they put the stat block in a little write up for the monster on the corresponding page. So you're getting a whole heck of a lot of monsters in this book. That's what it's about. It's a monster manual full of really bizarre stuff. Really, really bizarre stuff. Um, this is a book I'm going to go to when I want to weird my players out. This will be book A that I pull off the shelf, I think, especially in person, because my copy is this black linen tome with a gold foil stamp. It looks like a relic, an artifact, and then you would open it up and you've got these really crazy, sometimes watercolor, sometimes like pen and ink drawings in here that are just grotesque and abominable and fascinating. And reading from this book, running from this book, and then showing an art piece is just going to be a lot of fun at the table. So if you run at the table, I would say Ekphrastic Beasts is a good buy at the moment. I'm not sure. I'll try to get pricing on both of those for you while I'm passing the torch here in a moment. But I'm going to say that both of those are going to run you about $50 each. Why don't I get 5e out of the way here real quick? The other one that I was going to talk about, haven't gotten to check it out a lot, but how about
yes,
Nations
yes.
and Cannons? Talk about something crazy odd. This is a 5e Revolutionary War setting book. Troy showing off his too. Evidently, I beat him to the punch.
Yep, you did.
I feel so left out now.
This was something that Gen Con. Yep. It's exactly what you think it is. It's got a set of origins at the beginning, like Officer, Pioneer, Renegade, Scout, things like that. Then it's got a collection of classes: Firebrand, Barbarian, Fighter, Ranger, and Rogue. Character choices like backgrounds and feats, firearms and kit, new weapons and things like that. A system called Gambits, and then an enemy roster, which is kind of like your bestiary that has artillery and beasts and irregulars, soldiers, partisans. And then it has a 13-page adventure called The Invasion of Canada. It's just fun. Just fun. The art style is very like of the time. Probably most of it is of the time. And like the beasts that it has are black wolves, bullocks, bull moose, mountain lions, and rattlesnakes, right? It's pretty much what you expected. So
Yeah.
Nations and Cannons is $20, and it's a pretty nice sized little soft cover book. Like definitely worth the money just for something really weird that you're gonna read and be like, "Wow, that's fascinating." Like whoever thought of this really had a cool original idea, and I love it. So I've got a couple more things. I'm gonna weed out a couple so I can condense. But Troy, do you have anything else you want to talk about before I finish up here?
No, you stole my last one.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry.
No, you're not. And that's fine.
Fair enough. John, anything else from you?
That's it for me. No, mine was relatively light. I didn't get to do Gen Con, so I didn't go to the dealer hall there. And the Origins one was a respectable sized hall, but there just wasn't a ton that I was able to dig through, and it was like last second. So just that last day trying to run through as quickly as I could. So.
Well, let me talk to you about a couple things that I thought had your name on them, John.
Oh boy,
I've got 2 Dwarven books here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You had me at Dwarven.
So this first one is called The Dig. Did you see that at all?
That's cool. I did not.
What is that?
It says, "This is The Dig, where players take on the role of dwarves banding together to reshape the underworld. Tell grand stories of subterranean adventure and craft in a light, GM-less storytelling game. Easy to learn rules, streamlined mechanics. All you need is a few friends, a 6-sided dice, and some pen and pencils." It is pretty cool. It's a story. Like you play as a group through a story, and you roll dice all the way through it. There's not a lot of art to it. It's pretty simple. The art that it does have is pretty fun, pretty thematic, right? Yeah. Like, but I like the idea of a GM-less adventure, and I think a band of dwarves is a great way of doing that. Not a book that I would buy for the art, because there's only like 5 pieces in the entire thing. And not a book that I would probably buy for like inspiration for your D&D game, but definitely a book that, like, if you tired of don't have a GM or want to just play something different, I think The Dig could do that. I think I paid like $8 for this book, and that is a crazy reasonable deal considering that this book is like 79 pages. So check that out. But here's
awesome.
Were you able to
go really quick? Were you able to go through kind of like the story of it at all?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did a brief perusal through it. You're really doing a wide array of dwarfy things.
Okay.
A big part of it is this, like, going into the subterranean and recapturing it for your clan, but you're also, as the back of the book says, swindling royalty and irritating bartenders along the way. So
it's awesome.
Here's another book though that's also dwarf themed. This I picked up actually at a local gaming store recently. Here in Kansas City. This is called Lost in the Deep. And this is unabashedly inspired by Lord of the Rings and Khazad-dûm in particular. It is trying to evoke that sort of a feel. It says, Lost in the Deep is a game about isolation, survival, and perseverance, even when faced with the inevitability of your own demise. You play as the last survivor of an expedition of dwarves who set out to restore the kingdom under the Mother Mountain, the legendary dwarven city from which all dwarves have come and was lost a millennia ago. However, after months of exploring it and restoring parts of its structures, your band unwittingly set loose an ancient evil that had been asleep in the depths of the mountain. With it, the entity brought forth legions of chaos, and one by one you lost your companions, brothers, sisters, and in horrible accidents that still haunt your dreams. And it goes on from there. This is a single-player playthrough. Little adventure.
I'm getting the lone wolf vibes.
Yeah. It's only 25 pages, but it's a really tight 25 pages. It uses a deck of cards to facilitate play. And kind of, I think, as it is, it's kind of like drawing cards, kind of randomizes what you're experiencing. This is out by Exalted Funeral, and I want to say I paid like $12 for it. But it's a really nice presentation, really clean, and I will play through this at some point because it's captured my attention, and it's fun. Nice. So, kind of along with that, I'll just briefly touch on. I picked up 4 Against the Darkness, which is another single player adventure.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole system, a solitaire dungeon delving pen and paper game, and I picked up an adventure for it. Haven't gotten to read this at all yet, but I heard good things, and so I grabbed a copy. Last but not least, and then we're going to move on to something else. I got the Numenera starter set because it was a starter set that I didn't have on my shelf. What can I say about this in the brief moments that I'm looking? This has about the same amount of content as you would expect from like the D&D starter box. So that means not a lot. There's a couple softcover books, some pre-gen characters, a double-sided map, some handout cards, and some dice. The difference is that this is super high quality. Like the books have this super glossy. I'll see if I can show you one real quick. You'll be able to tell just from the video, but this super glossy, super thick lamination to them. And it's just jam-packed with art and color and detail. I think it's a really nice way of showing the quality of your company's product for a very cheap price, because this was $20, and so that fits it on the low end of what a starter set costs these days, and I think it's on the upper end of quality for the box. So
that's awesome. I do have one. I don't recall if we'd gone over this one or not. This was okay. So while the guys were at Gen Con, I did my own private affair, right, and found and fell in love with a game, and it ranks up there with Forbidden Lands. But I wanted to make sure that I brought it up. I heard that there was an imposter on the show at some point or another that might have brought this game up, but you need to hear it from my lips instead.
Imposters.
Yeah, you heard me. I'm gonna talk about the Goonies Never Say Die board game. People, this is $35 at Target. I think it's a Target exclusive right now. If you love the Goonies, do yourself a favor and go buy this game. This game is it is an opening salvo into like this. To me, is like the gateway drug into RPGs too, because you get to play as. You get to play as, look, it's asymmetric, so there is a Goondocks master. One person plays as the GM, and then 5 other people can play as your favorite Goonies. You can be Data, Sloth, Chunk, Mouth, or Mikey. And there is the board game. I've got it up on screen now, but the board game is like this modular cavern system. They're all disconnected on the board, but they have interconnecting pieces for tunnels and bridges and secret passages and things like that in order to connect them. The booklet that comes with it is essentially the campaign book, and the little booklet has 9 different scenarios that you can run through, and it's very light on story, right? It's only as much story as you really want to put, or as much role play. There's no role play really in it at all. But the idea of one person that is mediating or moderating play while other people are playing, quote unquote, as the characters, that kind of goes back to the dice mechanic that you guys were talking about before, where it's non-numeric. It is symbol-based dice. So the bones versus skulls kind of, and then for successes and failures, and the kids get wishes, and that they can use almost like inspiration to beef up their stats and their abilities and stuff like that. Man, this hit the spot. If you are an 80s kid at all, or for God's sake, if you just love the Goonies, you've got to go get this game. Like, nobody's paying me for this, but I'm evangelizing this friggin' game from the mountaintops. When I purchased this game, I found out that the same folks that made this game also did a Princess Bride game. Yes, and I purchased that as well. I haven't had a chance to look at it, other than just to open it up, and I don't have any like images to go along with this. But the Princess Bride game is awesome because it's a book. It's a storybook, and you go from one board to the next by flipping the pages. Holy crap, it's so good. And they're working on a Back to the Future game right now too.
Nice.
Right? So
inconceivable.
It's total nostalgia porn. Really, but I mean, like, whatever. They got me. It's gorgeous. It looks really, really good, and it's for $35. I dare you to find another board game out there with this kind of presentation that looks this good, that is this fun to play, for less than $35. I dare you.
Fair enough.
Yep.
I love it. It's a really good game.
Yep.
I'll back him up on that.
Right on.
All right. So hey, we did an hour of what's in the box.
What's the box?
But look, we did not even. If we were going to do just what's in the box, and we were going to cover everything, it was going to be another hour.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so we did y'all a favor, I think. But we still got a little topic that we're going to chat about.
Yeah. Also about what's in the box.
Also about what's in the box. So. Troy, if we need to refill our cups and then come back to talk topic.
I think we should. I think we should refill some cups.
All right, so we are back, and we're going to talk about. We've been saying what's in the box, but really what we're talking about is this idea of how much should a writer, if any, should a writer hide from a DM?
Yeah.
So as a DM, what do you want? What do you want out of your adventure paths? Do you like it? But you two fellas and chat here, you can answer along as well. But like, if you're handed an adventure path or you pick up a book, like. There's a plot, obviously, that is being told, whether it's a huge plot from, like, Rime of the Frost Maiden or something like that, right? Or it's your self-contained adventure module that you're running at a convention, like a one-shot or whatever, right? How much of that plot do you want communicated to you in a concise, cut-and-dried way at the beginning versus how much do you want to discover along the way? And then also, I think the third part of that, which is kind of like the truest of the what's in the box philosophies, which is that there really, if you really get down into it, there isn't a whole heck of a lot of plot, and it's really meant to be whatever the GM and players kind of make of it. What's your preference, fellas?
I myself like it all, depending. I think this topic originally got started with some Adventurers League content. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, in that situation, I want to know what's going on way ahead of time, because I don't know how many times running an adventure at a convention, either one of the early adventures in the series or even one of the later ones, you don't know that this NPC is crucial down the line, or you don't know the reason behind what's going on, and neither do the player characters. But as the DM, if you don't know, and the players are pushing you for information, you don't know how do you shine them on or misdirect them or lie to them or give them enough information to satisfy them if you don't know what's going on. Case in point, something that happens in the Oracle of War campaign early on in the first several modules. Something's going on and it gives you absolutely no explanation for it. And you don't find out until, and this is like in the first 5 adventures, you don't find out until like the last 3.
Yeah. what the heck happened,
what's been going on, and why.
Yeah.
And so if you're like me, running those adventures not in a convention setting, you're running them as an actual home campaign, you've probably made your own decision as to why that thing was going on, which I did, and it's nowhere close to what they had going on, and so now you're like, oh, well, crap.
Yeah. So Bear Droid is saying 100% synopsis. That's what they want. And I think that I agree with that statement. Is like, I want a synopsis.
Give me a
synopsis. The question I think I come down on, especially with something like what you just talked about, Troy, is like, how big do I want that synopsis to be? How expansive? Because the element that you're specifically talking about with Oracle of War isn't main plot. Now there's major repercussions. There's a reveal that has payoff, right? But it's not like if you were to say in 3 sentences, tell me the plot of Oracle of War. That's not going to make the cut.
It's not going to make the cut.
So, unless you had like a one sheet that was like, here's the story, you're probably not going to read that.
Well, so okay. So really quick. So for me, there's a lot to unpack in that question. Like honestly, it's like Troy said. It's like, what do I feel like at the time? Do I want a sandbox where I can put whatever I want to in there because I'm just so in love with the setting that they've created? Maybe. Or like for Adventurers League, when you're trying to create you're trying to create a storyline that other people are going to be able to recognize, and you're going to be able to run a game that is similar to other tables, so you can have that shared experience. I mean, I need to know as much as I can on the front end for context, so that when I'm reading it kind of clicks into place. And for me, I'm looking for a one-pager. One page that should be, not only does it give me like a quick synopsis of what's going to happen, but give me the beats that are going to happen. Like, this is important because of this. The players are going to have to go into the dungeon to get this thing, and when along the way they're going to meet this person. This person's going to be important later on. Maybe you don't go into all the juicy details about why, but I need context whenever I'm running a game, just because there are other things that are going on around what the adventurers are doing at the time that I can leave breadcrumb trails for, or Easter eggs for, and things like that. So whenever the next adventure comes up and I do that handoff to the next DM, the players are like, oh, that's what that was. Oh man, that's crazy. Like, I want to be able to give, as a good steward of my players, not just for myself but also for the next person that's going to run for them, I want to be able to set those things up for them as well. But if we were talking about like a home game, like I said, I want that one pager. And I mean, I want a nice, tight, but I want it from, if we're looking at like Rime of the Frost Maiden or Beyond the Witchlight, right? I want one page where it's like, here are all the beats in this book, because A, that tells me, do I really want to run this thing, and how much, and B, how much am I going to end up having to chop up in order to make it what I want to make it. I know that I'm not going to get ice skating walruses in that one pager, more than likely, but at the very least I'll have an idea, right? But I'll have at least an idea of, where the story's going and where it's supposed to end up, which is really important too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll add in another element here, which is sometimes you get the opposite, and sometimes you get something weird. Like sometimes you get over communication at the beginning, which is rare, but sometimes that does happen. What I say a lot of times, what I mean by over communication is that the information that you are getting at the beginning is the writer trying to convey things, but what they're actually doing is giving you lore or backstory, and not, which is quote unquote context, but not what I actually need to run the thing. There's also then companies, GUI Cube is a good example of this. Writers who intentionally aren't giving you stuff at the beginning because they want the DM to discover things throughout play intentionally.
That would drive me crazy.
Right. But they're doing it in a way, they're giving you enough information to cover. Like in my example with the Adventurers League stuff, it was just, for this one adventure, this is what's going on. No explanation, no if the players really need to know and they want to make some rolls, this is the vagary that you can give them. Nothing. There's no explanation, there's no anything at all. Your ass is hanging in the wind. But at least with GUI Cube, it's not like that. They're giving you enough that you can satisfy your players and your own curiosity in that context, but you still want to know more. So there's a way to do it, and there's a way that should not be done. And I think Adventurers League a lot of times does but I also understand that you're going to have players that are just going to go out to the DM's Guild, buy the module, find out why, and spoil it for themselves. 17 adventures in.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm still not. I'm not there yet, because for me, whenever if I'm going to run an adventure, I don't want to figure things out as I go along with the players. I feel more comfortable knowing what's going to happen next, so that, again, like for forecasting, foreshadowing, or again, like they pick something up and it's that aha, right? I need to know what that's going to end up being. So like I'm not going to get that in one chapter. I'm going to have to at least read ahead a chapter. Maybe I don't need to read the entire book in order to get everything. But I don't know. I'm not sure. Like discovering it as you go along, I feel like that would drive me crazy.
Well, it's more about like, and I largely agree, but I think more of it is about the GUI Cube expectation is they're providing all the resources, but they're expecting you to read through the material ahead of time. So the idea is like they're not expecting you to say, all right, chapter 1, here we go. They're expecting you to read through their whole thing. And what they want is for the reading of it to be entertaining and not a dry resource guide, right? Or an instruction manual.
Yeah.
And so what they want is for you to have that whoa moment as you're reading it, and then for you to then be able to communicate that to your players. And I think their conversation tone that they put into their products helps with that.
Yeah.
But there's still an element where like I like the synopsis. I like a story flowchart myself.
Yeah.
Like that's a really handy thing. A timeline is super handy. That sort of a quick element.
Yeah, I live and die by a timeline in my home games.
But don't give me a flow chart like what we've had in some of the past
hardback books. Which is just a straight line.
What is just, okay, you gave me the same thing. It's called, chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
No, is that how I'm supposed to go? That's how I'm supposed to play this game? Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Oh, I needed this whole page to tell me.
Or it literally is like an Adventurers League. It's just a rail. It's literally box
it's a straight
box to box. There's no branching at all. Like, why did you even put this in here at all?
Well, that's helpful still though, because it's an even faster way of communicating. Here's the beats, right? Even if there's no branching, like you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this. Great. All right. I know. There's been adventures, not gonna lie, where I forgot the whole adventure and I'm like, all right, what do I got to do? As I sit down to the table and I read that little flow chart and I'm like, okay, I can hit those beats and make up the rest, right? Like
I'm with you.
That'll
for
work.
Adventures, yes, but there's been some hardbacks and it's literally do chapter 1. Once you finish with chapter 1, go directly to chapter 2.
Yep.
Oh, you finished with that one? Go directly to chapter 3. It's like I don't need that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm mostly with you on that too, Zach. I think the only difference is that, like, to me, I don't want that in a flowchart. To me, a flowchart's not going to give me enough like detail, just a little bit more, right? Like a small paragraph or like 2 or 3 sentences about each one of those sections of the story or those elements of the story that we're going into. Like so and so is going to do this, and then this thing is going to happen, and here's the thing you're going to have to set up for the next part. And then the next part comes up, right? And you kind of like, even if it's like 3 lines, 3 bullets for each thing, right? just a little bit more detail, a little more context to go off of, so that I can, because not only will I use it to figure out what I'm supposed to do, but I can use it for reference. Like whenever it's been like a couple of weeks since I've read this chapter or this part of the book or something, like I can go back and I can say, oh, that's right, these are the 3 main beats that I need to hit, and this is the order of operation. Cool, I can do that. And I can probably I can look at the book as I go along, or look at the adventure as I go along, and pick up enough to where I don't have to spend the next hour or two rereading that chapter that I'd read a month ago.
Yeah. Craig is saying here in chat, he would love a section that's like, these are the important things that a player needs to know or discover. Just a quick list of that. I think our friend Janine also has iterated that in the past. That does what she call it, hints and clues or something like that.
Yeah.
Would be really nice. Yeah.
Or even in the in the section of the adventure for Adventurers League, the Dramatis Personae. Don't let this NPC die. This NPC needs to appear in future episodes. Don't allow the players to kill the Lord of Blades.
Yeah.
Things like that the DM ought to know ahead of time. But
I mean, some of those things should be self-explanatory, Troy. I don't know what you're trying to hint at.
I know they should be.
These should be no-brainer things. Why are we having to,
some people need them pointed
when
out.
The villain shows up in the first act, that is not an opportunity for you to kill them. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just if you don't want to give me all of the surprises, at least give me enough information that I know. It's like, okay, so I need to somehow plot armor this NPC.
Yeah.
Or, because I mean, what would happen if, and this is a reaching way back, what happened if Tacit got killed in the little part of the adventure that she joined you in the very first Adventurers League adventure?
Yeah.
And then she can't technically appear later on without some very fancy footwork by the DM. I mean, and that happened a few times. It's like, wait a minute. She died. No, she didn't. Well, she didn't mind. And if I knew that she was supposed to live, then maybe I could have figured something out.
Yeah, but it's like somebody, like Craig says, somebody kills Strahd in the first scene, and
this is gonna be a long campaign.
Or somebody takes
wandering around doing nothing.
Somebody kills the Rock in chapter 5, but there's 7 or 8 chapters in the book.
Yeah. So I think we're at a consensus here, which is that we need more communication, right? The variety of communication, we're open to seeing different ways of presentation, right? But we need more than what we're getting. I think we're going to underscore, especially in Adventures League, especially in those larger campaigns, where you're not releasing those modules. I can't go okay, so Tomb of Annihilation, yes, it's on me. Technically, I could read the whole thing, right, before I start. Fair enough. But when we're running the Plague of Ancients series, that's 10 long, and only the first 2 have been released, giving us some sort of a directive about, here's what you need to know about where this is headed would be super helpful. And I think we've ran that up the flagpole a couple of times on our end, saying, is that something we can get? And the fast answer has been no, or not yet, or shrug. But I'd like to imagine a world where maybe that's something we can see in the future. And we're working as much as we can in the back end to get the people what they want.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing for the Adventures League stuff. I had an instance with Mist Hunters where we had 2 adventures that were chronologically back to back with one another. One adventure ends, the second adventure immediately picks up where the first adventure ended. That adventure, the second adventure, is what I got. Ask me how much detail there was at all in that adventure about what happened in the first part of the adventure. Nothing. Zero zilch. So part of what I would ask for too is if we got that synopsis in there about what's going on in this adventure, we don't have to put it at the very beginning if people don't want it. For me, I want to know just like a quick paragraph or two about like, here's what happened in the adventure before
the story
this
so far,
and here, or even if it's just like the one that is coupled to it, right? Here's what if I'm running 03, tell me what happened in 02 really quickly, right? And then here's what's coming up next would be really, really helpful. Even like I think part of the problem with what's coming up next though is that they probably don't, I don't even know if they know what's coming up next. Like it's supposed to be released the week after this one gets released, but they still haven't figured it out yet. I don't know how that works exactly, but
well, they may not know all the details, but based off what I know as far as the back end, they know the overview,
right?
And they could communicate the overview. So
yeah, I don't need the entire like in a 10 adventure arc. I don't need to know every single one, but like I need some wrappers, an envelope around the adventure that I'm.
Yeah. What came before? What do you need to have going forward?
Yes.
Yeah. Bookend it.
Yeah. And you're getting people in chat saying that even though you had no clue what you were doing, you still ran it well. So
even though you had no clue,
clueless. No, what I ended up having to do is I had to read the friggin' first adventure. I had to devote way too much time to get that context because otherwise people would come in because there's just nothing to go off of. And that second adventure that I ran, there's just nothing. It's like, hey, it picks up exactly here, and here's some stuff that they're going to do next. I'm like, I don't even know why. There's a character in there that they should care about that turns up in a very altered state, we shall say, no spoilers, and I don't know why they should give a crap. Is that somebody that they liked? Is it somebody that saved them or that they saved? I don't know. So it was important to me.
That happened to me at Origins.
Mm-hmm.
Because, me being on top of things, knew exactly what I was supposed to be running at Origins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I ended up having to run adventures that are later in the Plague of Agents series. And from what I remember, because I've only ran up to the 5th adventure, I believe, in the Plague of Agents storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, makes sense. Pretty good stuff. I like it. I dig it. Oh, now I'm supposed to run 9 and 10. Okay. And it's like, wait a minute. Who's this? What is going on? The rhyme is over? What? How did this happen? So I have this gap of 3 adventures, that a whole bunch of stuff has changed. And for me, and I agree with John, as a DM, I want to know each adventure in order as to what's going on. So that way, if there's any callbacks or if there's anything like that, I can do it. I can relate it to the characters. The only thing that really saved me in that regard at Origins is, I think in the 4 or 5 times I ran the tables, I think there was 3 players all weekend long that had played any of the Plague of Agents stuff. So it was like, oh yeah, we have no idea what's going on. We're just here to play a game. Okay.
Cool.
That's cool.
Great. Phew.
I don't need to know any of this stuff because you don't know it either. All right, cool. So that was a saving grace. But I mean, all things considered, that doesn't happen all the time.
Well, in that instance, then you're looking at like anthologies as opposed to episodic, where like there's no overarching storyline that connects everything together. There's a theme, right? It's Ravenloft, and there are spooky stories that we're gonna run, and everyone's gonna be a little bit spookier than the other. Who knows, right? Right. Or like that to me is like that's the only solution to a bunch of players coming in and having zero experience or exposure to the rest of the story. That's about it. Otherwise, what you're going to end up spending is like you as the DM have to know everything that we've been saying that we need, right? You need that one pager for the all of the 10 stories or the 10 adventures in the entire season. Give me that one pager so I know whenever I sit at the table, all right, well, I'm running 7. All right, cool. Well, here's kind of what happened in 6 to kind of get you caught up to speed. And then you can give them that quick 5-minute synopsis and in the handoff. Otherwise, but we don't get anything remotely like that at all.
Yeah.
Players probably know as much, if not more than we do when it's 3 weeks out from an event. Until we get the adventure, we don't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We think we might, but we don't know.
Yeah, and then we're wrong. I've been wrong like just about every single time on what I thought it was going to be versus what it turned out to be. So take that for what it's worth.
Well, I think we've about covered this one. This is just a little topic, but I thought it would be interesting to chat about, and I think it turned out to be so. Fellas, let's see. As we wrap this up, we need to send people to certain directions, right?
Yes.
Listen, if we have if we have DMs or writers out there who are listening, who have different ideas or techniques or suggestions on how to communicate this context to the person running the game, shoot us a message on Facebook. We'd love to have conversations there. You can also join our Discord and have a good conversation about it in that group of fine folks. We have a whole bunch of different sections on Discord, including not just RPG discussions, but places where we do kind of what we did at the beginning here, where we talked about stuff we've just gotten in. And we also have like a movie section where you can talk about potentially in movies that you've recently seen and how those might influence storytelling or games in general. And I think we'll give a little clue to an upcoming episode, but a little hint. But I think we're going to turn that particular section into an actual podcast episode coming up very soon. So
should we tell them what?
We could.
We've picked some movies that we want to talk about.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think we all kind of have said in the last week, like, I have things that I want to say or want to talk about with movie X.
Yeah.
And
I need a public place to air my grievances.
Yes.
So, for homework out there.
Yes, there you go.
There you go. Yeah,
so, the movies that we will be discussing is the new James Bond, No Time to Die, the new Halloween, and Dune. So
that's a good try
y'all
right
can,
there.
And Yentl, yes. Craig wants to talk about Yentl. So if you guys can find your VHS copies and watch those, that would be great. But yeah, so if you want to be a part of the conversation, those are the three movies that we're going to discuss, and see what we all feel about it.
So how do we want to do this? And we'll discuss this more off air, but this will more than likely be like sectional, right? Where a spoiler-free zone, and then we'll go into spoiler territory, and we'll be a big red sign that's blinking, audibly anyway. About
that being, I'm going to propose this. I'm going to propose. There's a really great podcast out there. It's called. I'm going to give a little nod. It's called. Oh goodness. Oh my goodness! I just drew a blank. I listen to this podcast weekly, and here I am, sitting here feeling stupid. Here, you know what? I have an answer. I'll pull it up on my phone.
There you
go.
Tell us about the podcast while you're looking up the name of the podcast.
Well, listen. That sounds professional. The podcast is called Sift Pop, SIFTPOP, Sift Pop.
Sift Pop.
And Sift Pop is a movie review podcast. And the thing that I really like about it, maybe we'll borrow a little bit from their format, is that they do. The beginning is you rate the movie.
Oh.
Not on like a 1 to 10 or a, A to F, but in a like it, love it, hated it, or it was just okay. You have to say
that's tough.
Which one of those you fall in, and then they do a discussion, a spoiler-free discussion, and then they after that do a hard boop and then move on to spoilers. Right?
I like that. Yeah.
A hard boop. So I think if we did it, I think that would be a great way. And just bear in mind then that the spoiler-free version is probably going to be the short version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're going to get what we thought of it. You're going to get a few this is, the action was cool. And then anything more than that, you save for spoilers later. But I think it'll be good, and you should do your homework and try to check out.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
How about we do this? How about this? Then we can even give them who watched what first, for them to, for these three to be determined. The three of us each watched one individually, or you know what? Actually, no. You're gonna have to listen to the episode or watch the episode in order to find out whose movie was what. Whose was the new James Bond film? Whose was Halloween? And whose was Dune?
You can figure that out pretty.
I'm pretty sure you can figure that out.
Jagger.
Yes.
But I'm not telling you, even though it's obvious.
Exactly. Well, so here, you're going to want to be a part of that episode. My suspicion is that will probably be next Tuesday, but we'll see. Mm-hmm. It won't be Sunday because Zach will be at Gamehole Con. Yeah. But sometime in the next week or so, we'll drop that episode.
Yeah, so that means Twitch. John and I are in charge on Sunday.
That's right. It's another Buffoons podcast. Huzzah, Kalukale. Whee!
What are we going to talk about?
So you can skip it, is what we're saying. Like, Sunday's a skip day.
The quality immediately drops whenever...
No, Craig, not 80s, dude.
Oh, man. No. I'll talk about that one. I'll make Zach's eye twitch with that one.
Yeah, you will.
Man, I really love it whenever Paul uses the weirding modules. That's like the best part of the movie. Yeah.
I love it when all the characters are telepathic and communicate.
And the only people that can hear it is the audience.
Right.
Making stop whispering.
No. All right, so we're gonna put the pause in it.
Yes.
Put the kibosh, and until next week, we'll see you next time.
That's right. Have a great game, everybody.
You stay safe out there. Boop. All right. Stream on. Show ended. Or recording ended, I should say.
Yeah.
Figured we'd stick around a little bit longer tonight. We've been able to hang out with you nerds enough lately. Just wanted to wax semantical about our movie
Here,
stuff.
let me do this because these are going to be outdated by the time. This is what I would talk about if we got to talk about something that wasn't movies.
Yep.
For a brief moment. This is for the viewers and for you too. Jeff Stevens just launched a Kickstarter today. Pot-Bellied Kobold's Guide to Villains and Lairs for 5e.
Yep, saw that.
You should go check that out. Jeff does good content.
Yes, he does.
Kobold Press launched their latest thing yesterday called Book of Ebb and Tides, which is a 5th edition Enters the Plane of Shadow supplement. It's a setting guide and then also an adventure path book.
So you want us to do another crowdfunding corner?
No. Another one. What are you talking about?
Because last Sunday was a crowdfunding corner.
No. I'm saying 2 weeks from now, some of these products are going to be come and gone. So I'm just doing a quick hey, you should check these out, right? And then the other one that I would say is Joel, our friend Joel that did Desert Moon of Karth, the Mothership module. He just launched Abilities Considered Unnatural, which is another Mothership thing. It's a 52-page dungeon crawl through a temple mine filled with plasma blade wielding zealots. That very much looked like Sith. Anyhow, it looks pretty funky. I love the presentation of it. And he's destroying Kickstarter right now with his little zine has made almost $14,000.
And what's it called?
Abilities Considered Unnatural. anyhow, we don't have to talk about Kickstarters the rest of the night, but
no, I meant for Sunday because for John and I to
discuss
things.
Yeah.
Because it's actually not supposed to be crowdfunding corner.
No. It's whatever you guys want it to be.
But we can do whatever we want.
We can do whatever
we want.
Since we're doing like roulette, topics, right? Chat, if you want to take a peek here, there's that artwork I was talking about with Laurana and Kitiara embroiled in a titanic struggle. It's pretty awesome, actually. I like that. It's probably like, look, I'm going to be a giant Dragonlance fan douche nozzle for just a second, and then I'll immediately recoil and hide back in the shadows again.
For just a second?
For just a second, smartass. Oh. Yeah. Laurana is not supposed to be giving Kitiara nearly as hard a time as that. Laurana got her ass whipped whenever the two of them went together.
Well, how can you say that that's a hard time?
Chica
blocked a shot.
I don't know, man. It looks to me like Laurana is way too hard in that shot right there. She's like, "Come at me, bro."
Have you dropped it somewhere in chat?
No, it is in stream right now, but I can throw it in
stream. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it pop up yet in stream.
Oh, really? Oh.
I see it.
Yep.
You see it? Yeah.
How do you see it?
I'm looking at
Tannis and Laurana. Okay, so thank you, Bear Droid, for noticing that. Also, I'm trying. No, she is not. She's the golden general for a reason. That hair is way too red for me. But you know what? Look, the Dragonlance is getting love right now, so I'm not gonna be super picky. I'm not gonna. Like I said, that was my one bit of over nerding about Dragonlance, and I'm gonna back down and be cool about it.
Be cool. Be cool, man. Be
cool. I mean, obviously, the artists are gonna take some license on this. It is, I guess, annoying is probably the least douchey way of saying it. It's a little annoying to me that WotC doesn't curate their stuff more to be more in line with, But then, at the same time, they also said that none of the books are canon. That only for 5e and for Dungeons and Dragons, the only thing that's canon is what's in the source books. That's it. So now Laurana has red hair, apparently, folks. That's canon. Thank you, Bear Droid. If it isn't Elmore, it's crap. That's actually not true. Easily had some phenomenal stuff. There's just like a lot of really good stuff out there, but Elmore's stuff is quintessential. His depiction of Laurana on the battlements of the High Claris Tower, standing over Sturm's corpse, is like this is easily my favorite piece of artwork in fantasy. Easily. I've said as such to the man himself. So there you go.
Elmore is a national treasure.
He is a treasure. He's just, not only is he like a great artist, he's such a sweetheart. He's so nice.
He is. He's super, super nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here's a couple other things.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a couple other things real quick here. There is a couple other... I'm sorry, this is just Zach's life right now. But Plangea, the prehistoric 5e
I saw that too.
Launched. And it's got 50,000 so far in funding. I'm going to be honest, I thought that would do a lot more in day one. Like, that is some awesome art. It's an awesome idea. And let me tell you why I think it isn't just like destroying. I think they missed out with not doing a full monster manual. Because the book is $60 for the hardcover by itself. And that is the only book, right? Like, there's not a there's an adventure PDF, but it's not a physical copy. And I think the fact that it's a $60 buy-in with no supplementary material makes it a harder sell than it could have been. But I think it's still badass and awesome, and like, I love what they're doing. So
yeah, I saw that too. I liked that. I was digging a little bit deeper actually. Let's see what else. Okay, I got another one for you. Have you all heard about the D&D TV series that's coming this fall to G4?
Yes, briefly.
I've heard that it is a few different campaigns.
If you enjoyed the awkwardness of D&D Live this year, with
what are you talking about?
I loved it. No, what they're doing, okay, so Dungeons & Dragons limited series coming off the immense success of D&D Live, featuring notable celebrities as Jack Black, Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Smith, Dr. Lupo, yada yada. They'll continue their partnership with Wizards of the Coast with an all-new limited-run series to premiere on G4 this fall. This series will follow our 4 campaigns with a mix of G4 talent, veteran D&D players, and celebrities for a new generation of D&D fans. So it was popular enough to where they doubled down on it to make it an actual series. So we'll see what happens. There you go. There's that.
Interesting.
There's also some other news, I guess. Critical Role Campaign 3 starts Thursday.
I heard that. It's okay. If I were to watch Critical Role from what is it, season 3 or series 3? Is that what series 3?
Campaign 3.
I'm sorry. Starting from campaign 3, if I were to start it up now, this is like completely fresh. I don't have to know any of the stuff that happened or context from before, right? Do we know that yet?
Yep.
Okay. And are they doing like they did with?
Oh, you know what? We were gonna do that.
What?
Listen, I went back and listened to an episode, and this is an opportunity. I think I went back and listened to an episode from like almost a year ago, and it was us talking about Critical Role, in brief at least.
Okay.
And there was a proposition on that episode that we need to sit down and do a live commentary track as we watch an episode.
You want
that will only end badly for me, unfortunately.
You want us to do a riff track on Critical Role?
No, sure, whatever you want to call it. I'm just saying, we couldn't do it this Thursday, of course, but at some point, if we just grab the first episode, if we all hold off and we watch the first episode live, for us live, on stream.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
For 4 hours.
It's a what would you do for a Klondike bar situation, right?
You know what? I'm liking this idea. I think we should do this on a Sunday.
Okay.
We should because it comes out on YouTube.
Thursday. Yeah.
Well, it comes out on
a week
Thursday.
After, right?
Yeah, a week after, something like that. So, I think. What do y'all in chat think about that?
Bear Droid is 100% on Sunday watch party.
If we do a watch party, and we'll make our comment, because I'm actually curious to hear what John has to say about it.
Listen,
what it is
all
he
fresh.
specifically doesn't like.
It's all fresh, right?
Right.
We may hate campaign 2 or campaign 3. There may, and the first episode might be rocky, or it might be super awesome, right? Because this is the perfect time for us to do this because it's a brand new campaign. None of us have preconceived feelings about this campaign.
Right.
But it could be fun, right? So I think what you're going to get if we do this is not diehard Critical Role people watching the show. None of us are that. But you're going to get Troy, who's largely knowledgeable, Zach, who's somewhat knowledgeable, and John, who's not knowledgeable, kind of watching it with fresh eyes. So I think that could be fun.
I'll say it. I'll say it. I wish them all the best, and may they bathe themselves in their many Twitch riches. Good for them. But what I've seen so far has not impressed me. It has not been something that I'm going to go out of my way to watch. But for this experiment, I shall do it. I'll do it for you.
Well, and it may be that we don't make it through the full episode, especially if it's an extended episode.
I'm going to try really well. What I'm worried about, though, is my mouth. Well, I feel like my mouth will get me in trouble because critters are they're a very passionate group of fans.
Yeah, but you have not kept your mouth shut about Critical Role for the past year and a half on this podcast.
But I've tried very hard to be diplomatic about it. It's like it's one of those. Yeah. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And okay, so but here's the thing. At least from my point of view, my standpoint. What do you say?
DM of the year telling Mercer what he's doing wrong.
Excuse me, you're doing it all wrong, sir.
I look at it like this. Watching people play D&D is definitely not for everybody.
It's like watching paint dry.
I really don't enjoy it most of the time. I usually consume Critical Role as a podcast while I'm doing something else. Mm-hmm. Because that, listening to it while I'm doing something else, it puts me in that D&D kind of frame of mind. I'm being surrounded by it. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious as to what you find so, and what the way it looks to me, offensive about it, because it's not for me. It is a vehement, almost dismissive, oh, that's nice, you can do what you want to do over there. I'm just not going to be a part of it because it's just not. And I think that would be what the critters would take offense by.
Okay, that's fair.
Because, if it's not for you, it's not for you, and that's fine. But there's an aspect of how you speak about it.
John, how you speak is wrong.
How you speak is wrong.
That's obvious.
Because but that's the impression that I'm getting is like, it's disgusting to you.
No. Look, okay, well let me clear the air. I don't like whatever you do, and whatever you're into. Enjoy it. That's all good. I may not be into it though, but that just because it's cool for you to like the things that you like, that doesn't mean that I have to be.
No, not at all.
Not only I can also really, really not like it, and be cool that you like it. That's cool, and not like in a way that's pandering or passive aggressive about it.
So is that our content for next Sunday? Not this coming one, but the one after?
Yeah, yes. I think that should be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So buckle up, folks.
Yes. Girk has it correct. You all are going to watch us watch paint dry.
Yes.
Is how.
No, I think actually this first episode there's going to be a lot to talk about, because if we know anything about session ones, it's that the story of the story is only one part of an actual session one. There's characters, world introductions. There's numerous things that I think are going to be fascinating. So we're going to get there. All right. Well, is that so? You now know the next two episodes, or next 2 of the 3 episodes.
Bear joined. The upside is we can just leave.
Yes.
Well, so can we.
Yeah. Stream over. I'm the one that's got the end stream button that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah. No.
All right. Yeah. I think we're good with that though, and I think we've sufficiently given our post recording.
It'll be interesting.
Goodies.
Listen, if you're a Critical Role fan and you watch it, we're gonna say something that's gonna get you worked up. That's a promise. If you're not a Critical Role fan and you tune in, you're gonna hear a lot of things. You're gonna feel like you're in a good crowd, and maybe we'll all learn something and grow from the. I don't know what I was going.
I don't know where you're going with that.
Well, yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll make a promise. I'll make a promise, and that'll be the end of it for now. I'll make a promise. I will go into this hoping to really enjoy it. I mean that sincerely. I hope I'll really enjoy it.
Hey, that's better than we got with Mandalorian, so I'll take it.
That's true.
Listen, no. Somebody at Disney touched me on my no and made me angry about that. That's why we got what we got from Mandalorian. So that's different. Okay?
All right. Fair enough. Well, let's shut this thing down. Yeah.
Oops. Oops.
That's going to be a cold open right there.
Don't do that. You did stop recording, didn't you?
No, I did not.
Well, my wife's going to... No, that way. Don't you go dying on me, Troy.
You might want me to. That way I can't do the cold open.
It's fine. It's all fine. It's on brand. Anyway, all right. Before I say anything else...
All right. Yeah. Well, chat, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Y'all hanging out with us. Zach's going to call it for the night. But,
yeah, he's got to get on the road soon.
This is a lot of